Thank you so much. My name is Shafferan Sonneveld, and I represent a faith-based human rights organization called Muslims for Progressive Values. And I want to thank the GOAC, the World Council of Churches, and the Lutheran Office for World Community for inviting us to speak on this very timely topic today. And thank you, Theodore, for organizing and reaching out. So in a world that's been plagued by Islamophobia and terror, Muslims for Progressive Values offers the establishment of progressive communities, and we foster intercultural and interfaith dialogue on global platform to really eradicate misunderstanding of Islam by countering hate and misunderstanding of Islam. So our main focus as a faith-based human rights organization is at the grassroots level by stimulating critical thinking about sacred text, to promote the implementation of progressive values such as non-discrimination, women's rights and gender equality, freedom of expression, and freedom from religion. We also provide advocacy work on a high policy level at the United Nations in order to promote an inclusive and tolerant understandings of Islam based on universal human rights, justice, and peace. So with the work that we do, a natural byproduct is that our activities act as a counter and prevention towards radicalization. Because we provide counter narratives, we empower youth, and we engage with religious leaders, and we promote human rights for all without leaving anyone behind. So in my presentation, it's very key that I use the word Daesh. I don't use the word ISIS or ISIL. And I explicitly use Daesh to delegitimize the group's actions, because in no way do I believe that represents anything Islamic. It does not represent Islamic values nor an actual Islamic State. And to explain a little bit, the Arabic letters that translate Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant the acronym is Daesh, and it also means one that sows discord. So for me, that's very, very important. And what I'll be doing in my presentation is I will highlight that not only are Daesh's crimes an affront to international law, they also use a bastardization interpretation of Islam to perpetuate what they're doing. I'll also be highlighting that Daesh's crimes that are widely condemned by Muslims and Islamic scholars. I will also try to highlight ways that we can continue preventing and countering their actions by highlighting the need to empower women to work against the acts of Daesh and other extremist groups, by empowering youth, and by facilitating and supporting work that Muslim leaders are doing to counter the activities of ISIS. So we're in the 5th year of the Syrian conflict right now, and actually it's very timely because the peace talks are happening in Geneva right now. And you're probably all familiar with the statistics, but I want to highlight them again because they're not just numbers, they're people's lives. We have 250,000 casualties in Syria alone since 2011, and over 11 million people are displaced from their homes in Syria alone. And I haven't referred to Iraq yet. So crimes of unspeakable cruelty have been happening in Syria and Iraq when it comes to mass executions, sexual slavery, rape, and other forms of sexual and gender-based violence, torture, mutations. I can go on and on and on. We've seen videos, we've seen images on the news, and they've also been Daesh has also been involved in the destruction of cultural property. Moreover, the commission of the crime of genocide has also been alleged against the Yazidi people. And the use of sexual violence is actually a tactic of war. And it's not just happening in Syria and in Iraq. It's a tactic of war that's been used again and again and again. The only difference in this regard, or at least this is one example, is that sexual violence is being packaged in religious lingo. And that shocks not only non-Muslims, but that shocks Muslims a lot. Acts of sexual and gender-based violence are known to be a part of strategic objectives by certain terrorist groups. They're used as a tactic for terrorism and an instrument to continue their power for financing and recruitment and destruction of sites. So as recognized in the Women, Peace and Security Agenda, which is an agenda we should all be familiar with, we need to we need to foster women's access to justice in conflict and post-conflict situations, including proper investigations, prosecution, and punishment of the perpetrators of sexual and gender-based violence. Now, the religious persecution of Yazidi women, again, is a tactic of war, and it's packaged in religious lingo to legitimize their genocide. And if you haven't already, I would highly recommend listening to the account that was shared by Nadia Murad at the Security Council in December 2015. It's available online, but she's a Yazidi woman that has experienced indescribable acts that Daesh has committed, and definitely look that up after this panel discussion. I want to highlight the fact that Islamic scholars worldwide and Muslims worldwide have all basically condemned the actions of Daesh. And interestingly enough, in 2014, a document was released that was signed by prominent scholars worldwide. It must be noted that no women were involved in drafting of this document, but it nevertheless serves as a really powerful source to highlight how the crimes committed by Daesh are not sanctioned in Islam, whether it be through the Quran or by hadith narratives. So this document actually highlights that, for example, the recruitment and the use of children as child soldiers, or the crimes perpetuated against children, is not Islamic. It also highlights the fact that Yazidi people need to be protected, that there's no basis in the Quran or in any reference to Islamic scripture that these people need to be persecuted, that the killing of innocent people is completely downright un-Islamic, and that the killing of one person is like you've killed humankind. And this is not just an Islamic notion. I think that's what we all share across our faith, that nowhere is it sanctioned to kill innocent civilians. Moreover, the sexual and gender-based violence acted against women, there's no basis for that in Islam. And this may be repetitive for some of you in the room, but I do need to highlight this again and again, that nothing that Daesh does is Islamic. That case closed in that regard. It has to be recognized, though, that the document that was released by these Islamic scholars condemning acts by Daesh, it's called the Open Letter to al-Baghdadi, which is the leader of Daesh, that they do not mention any crimes perpetuated against individuals of sexual minorities, well, I'm losing my words here. The letter doesn't condemn acts against individuals who identify themselves as LGBTQI, so that is one lacking aspect in that letter. Of course, any sort of persecution of LGBTQI individuals is also not Islamic. Nowhere does it say in the Quran that you should punish one that is gay or lesbian. And another aspect that we need to remember is that Prophet Muhammad never persecuted anyone for being gay. So that is something that's not mentioned in the open letter, but needs to be highlighted. And I'd highly recommend that you go through that open letter to al-Baghdadi to see exactly what Islamic references are being referenced, where it condemns the killing of innocents, where it condemns the use of children as child soldiers, etc., etc. So we have to also understand that Daesh did not arise out of a vacuum. There's many links to Daesh's actions to this ideology called Wahhabism, and there's many other factors involved as well, such as the perpetuation of violent masculinities, the spread of small arms and light weapons. But these Islamic extremist groups, such as Boko Haram and Daesh, which all symbolically referred to as weeds, the seeds of these weeds were planted by the ideology of Wahhabism, which acts as a supremacist thinking, that anyone that does not abide by their way of thinking is not worthy. And that supremacist way of thinking is the same type of thinking that have led to crimes by Nazis, and is the same way of thinking that has led to violations carried out in the Rwandan genocide. As soon as one dehumanizes another, it plants the seed for incitement of hate and violence. And this supremacist type of thinking is something that we need to counter by promoting and supporting narratives that promote peace, promote love for all of humanity, and promote the empowerment of everyone, including women and children. And that's something that we as Muslims for Progressive Values hope to do with our work. I'd also like to highlight the fact that the scholarship of Islamic feminism is one that offers lots of hope, because what Islamic feminism is, it's a scholarship and a source of activism that counters any misogynist interpretation of the Quran. And what it also does, it sees Islam as a source of hope and a source of human rights to prevent any violations in the name of Islam. And this Islamic feminist scholarship is one that we need to support. We need to empower Islamic feminists to continue doing the work that they do, so that they continue countering both misogynist interpretations of Islam, but also interpretations of Islam that are not in line with universal human rights. Another aspect that we need to take into consideration is the fact that women need to be supported in their roles to prevent violent extremism and to counter violent extremism. Time and again, it's been proven that women's roles and women's leadership and women's expertise prevent violent extremism. The fact that mothers can often spot whenever children become radicalized. They are the root and the fabric of society, and can often spot when children become radicalized. So in this regard, we need to involve women, we need to involve mothers, we need to involve community and religious leaders in preventing radicalization. Yes, we can continue countering radicalization and extremism, but if we were to shift our focus and focus on prevention, we're preventing extremist groups from growing and whatnot. I probably ran out of time, so I need to pass on the mic. Thank you.